Morning and welcome back to another video. I have quite a late start today. I am parked just around the corner from the place I'm tipping and they don't open till 8 o'clock. I've got quite an interesting load today and I'm just going to go around and do my daily checks. I have a check around the trailer of everything including the straps, and this big yellow pump is what I'm delivering on my first drop. Fortunately, everything is looking good this morning. I'm just going to fill out my daily checks on the app and then I can head literally just around the corner. I've made my cup of tea. Hopefully they'll be open and I can get this off pretty quick. I actually picked up a new one to send over to Northern Ireland a few weeks ago, and they put it on really quick and it was strapped down and I was off, so I'm hoping it's going to be the same in reverse. I only need to go a few hundred yards down the road and I'm at the gateway. It's a very narrow gateway to get in through with an Arctic, and it doesn't help that there's cars parked right opposite the gateway. I just about managed to squeeze through with the front, I just about managed to miss the cars parked opposite with my tail swing. Alright. Yeah, it's right on the back this time.
Yeah, just get the back end. So you don't forget the grade.
Yeah, alright then. I think they must have known that I was dropping this in this morning, as they probably drove past me on the industrial estate on their way to work and seen the pump on the back of my trailer. I drive through the gateway at the other end of the depot and then reverse back into the doorway. Some of it is a bit of an educated guess with the wall in the way and the sun in my eyes, but the guys here are watching me back and I know that they will give me a shout if I get it wrong. Once I'm in the right place, they give me the signal to stop, and then I can get out and start unstrapping the pump. This is a pump from a food disposal place on a farm. I took the old one out a few weeks ago to be sent to the farm in Northern Ireland, and now I've brought the old pump back to the factory. And you can definitely smell the food waste on it even though it has been cleaned. A lot of farmers are now diversifying into this bioenergy waste disposal, and these guys are #1 in the UK for manufacturing these type of pumps. They roll the overhead crane over the top, we get some chains on the pump and it can be lifted off gently. I'm always very impressed with these overhead lifting systems as they make the job just so much easier. I wish we could have something like that in the carnival shed, but I think I am asking for too much there. The guys put a pallet down before dropping it right down to the floor so that they can move it around the workshop with a forklift. There are a couple of pallets that goes with the pump, with pipes and other bits and bobs for fitting the pump. These are lifted off with the forklift and put to one side. This delivery has been quick and easy, and now all I need to do is get some paperwork signed. To leave, I need to drive through the gates at the back of the depot. This road out here seems to be very busy, with trailers and all sorts parked everywhere. And as I get down the road a bit further, there's a truck parked in the middle of the road doing a delivery, because there's literally nowhere for him to park to do the delivery without being in the way. I'm sure we've all had those awkward deliveries at one time or another. A little problem, he's sorting it, so I can't go back anywhere. I was hoping once the spin lorry's gone that he can probably move back a little bit or something's gonna happen. Once the chap's finished unloading, he reverses back to let me through, and then I can be on my way to my next drop near Cant. So I head out of the industrial estate and towards the A500. It's now getting into rush hour and there's a bit of a queue to get onto the M6. But luckily when I get onto the M6, the traffic is quite light. I'm not on the M6 for very long before I make a quick pit stop in Kiel Services. Just need to pop into the loo and I might get myself a coffee as well. I've got my coffee and I've actually got a bag of coffee grounds, which is really good for the garden. I've also double checked with Chris. There's some brushes that goes with what I now know is the cue bed, but it's a bit confusing on the paperwork. I've just double checked before I deliver everything, because you don't want to accidentally leave something behind that's supposed to be for somewhere else, or not leave something that should have been for them. It would be a lot of hassle to sort out later on. So I've just double checked with that. I know exactly where everything is going now. So I'm just going to make my way up to Cant for the next drop. I make my way back onto the M6 heading southbound before coming off at junction 12 for Cant and follow the A5 towards Cant. This journey is about 35 miles and will take me just under an hour. It also looks like the roads are starting to ease up a bit as we come out of rush hour. I have been to this place before and it's right at the bottom of the industrial estate. Through the gates and they have a nice big area to unload in. The last time I came down here it was about 20 to 5 on a Friday and they shut at 5 o'clock, so it was a mad rush to get everything off, but literally everyone came out and helped out to get everything off, so it was really good. I'm gonna parallel park myself, I think. I have about the same amount of stuff to be delivered here today as on that Friday, and unbelievably we managed to get it off in 20 minutes. But at least today we don't have to rush so much. This is where I was parked last time, I think, so hopefully it's alright today. I'll get my paperwork and I'll go and find someone. These guys are having all the bell handling equipment on the trailer, and they specialise in handling equipment. These bell stackers are from Fleming, and it's the only Fleming delivery I have on this trailer. I concentrate on getting the load unstrapped, as the guys here work like a well-oiled team to get the handling equipment off. There are quite a few items to get off, and even though they're going very quickly, I don't think they would do it as quick as when we only had 20 minutes and everyone wanted to go home because it was Friday. By this point everything is nearly off, but we do have one small problem. The queue bed is sat on a pallet that needs to be left here, so the chap on the forklift kindly moves the queue bed to the top of the trailer. He lifts it off, moves it down to a sensible height before manoeuvring to put it onto the top. Even though the queue bed is on wheels, it's still on a pallet, so we just steady it as it goes up. Once that's done, he's able to lift off the pallet that is to be delivered here. And once I get my paperwork signed for the delivery, they leave me to strap down the queue bed. The queue bed is quite light, but it needs to be well secured for its journey down to Devon. Then I make sure that all my straps and ratchets are securely away before getting back in the cab. I asked where it was best for me to turn round and they pointed me down the bottom of the yard. So I go down, get myself turned round and head towards my next destination. My next delivery is a bit of a cross-country trip towards Wellingborough. This journey is about 85 miles and should take me approximately 1 hour and 45 minutes. It will also take me onto the M6 toll, which will be a lot quicker than navigating the A5 or heading down the M6 through heavy traffic. But it also means that it has to be paid for. It's pretty quick and easy, especially nowadays with contactless cards. Once I get to the end of the toll section on the M6, I want to stay on the M6 itself. My original plan was to get onto the M1 heading southbound and then navigate round the bottom of Northampton across to the farm. But I've now found out that the section of the M1 that I wanted to use has been closed for an accident. So instead of doing that, I stay on the M6, which turns into the A14. And then I drop down through Wellingborough to the farm just on the other side. I rang the farmer earlier to give him my ETA and check that somebody would be available to unload. And he said that he wouldn't be himself, but he'd make sure that somebody was there to unload me. I have no idea where I'm supposed to go. I might just stop here a minute and just see if I can find somebody. They did say that someone would be here, but I can't see anyone. It doesn't look like I can turn around in it, not from here anyway. Maybe I've got to go down there, but that looks quite low there. I managed to find somebody and he points me in the direction to the bottom of the farm, where there is plenty of room to unload and turn around afterwards. I'm very careful as I head up through the farmyard as the shed roofs look quite low. Then once I'm in a suitable spot, I jump out and start unstrapping the load. These guys are having the telehandler bucket with the curb brush. Part of what was confusing me earlier was there was extra brushes strapped to the bucket. But these extra brushes aren't being delivered here. Instead, these need to be delivered with the queue bed, which is also a Plant Mech product. So before the bucket is unloaded, I take them out and strap them down up near the queue bed. I also make sure that I put away all the straps and ratchets that I no longer need. The bucket does have a lifting eye on it, but these guys don't have a D-lock or a strap thin enough to go through it. So instead they attach the strap to the edge and swing it round gently, which means they can then drop the forks off of the handler and pick the bucket up from the brackets on the back. This has been a nice quick delivery and now I can get myself turned around to go. My next drop to deliver is a queue bed that I moved to the front. That is going to Tedburn St Mary near Crediton. About 4.5 hours to get down there, so I'm going to need a break on the way down. It's 1:30 now. Chances are I might not get it off tonight unless they're around later on this evening. I'm going to get as far as I can to have my break, then I'll give them a ring and just see if they will be about. Because by then I'll have a better knowledge of my ETA. There's a few little traffic spots on the way down, so there's no point ringing them and saying I'll be there at 7 and I might not be there till 9 o'clock tonight. So I'll just keep going, get through the worst bits and then give them a ring later. I was a bit worried when I drove into the farm that there was nowhere to turn round, but luckily at the bottom there's a nice big empty silage clamp that I can turn around in. As you can see, my job has changed from Wayne's, but the terrain certainly hasn't, and I'm still heading into farms to load and deliver items. Once again, my journey over to Tedburn St Mary is going a bit cross-country to start with, as I'm heading down towards the southwest of England. This time I do head around the bottom of Northampton, and then straight under the A1 onto the A43. The A43 is a bit of a monotonous road with lots of roundabouts, which is not that great in a truck. And just before I head onto the M40, I decide to pull into Cherwell Valley Services for a break and a shower. I've decided to stop in here for my half an hour break. I do have a little bit of time left, but I'm not going to make it to the next services before my break's up. And if I stop in a lay-by, I won't be able to have a shower, which will mean that I'd have to stop later on to have a shower. So I'm better off stopping here. Once I finish my break, I can still make it down to Tedburn St Mary. So I'm not actually going to lose anything. I can't drop the baler off until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. They've hired a crane in to do that. So if I can end up getting down to Tedburn St Mary whilst they're still open, that drop will have to be done after I've got rid of the baler. I head into the services to see what shower delights await me. For some reason there seems to be 3 locks on the door in here. I'm not really sure why somebody's been drinking coffee in the shower. Right, so they've given me the wrong number. I wonder if I can actually find out if there is a number I can call. User busy. So it seems like they're on the phone, so I'm still none the wiser of how I'm actually gonna deliver this. I'm gonna have to give them a ring later on, but for now I'm just gonna get on up the road as far as I can go. I head out of the services and onto the M40. I stay on the M40 for one junction before coming off onto the A34. Then at Oxford I pick up the A420, which will take me over towards Swindon. The journey from the farm over to Tedburn St Mary is 215 miles. And from the services down to Tedburn it's 175 miles and will take me around 3.5 hours. Once I get to Swindon I pick up the M4 heading westbound, followed by the M5 heading southbound. I'd made good time by this point, so I pulled in to ring the dealership at Tedburn St Mary. I would have made it there for about 6:30, and they said that they would have been willing to unload me, except they have a restriction on lorries going into their depot. Because I'm in an Arctic, I would have had to have been off their property by 5:30. This means that unfortunately I will not be able to deliver the key bed tonight, so instead of taking the A30, I take the A38 down towards Plymouth, as I'm going to have to deliver the tyre baler first in the morning, as they have hired in a crane to lift it off for 8 o'clock. I give the chap at the tyre place a ring and just let him know that I'm on my way and I'll definitely be there for 8 o'clock in the morning. He said if I could make it there tonight, he'd get someone down there to let me in through the gates so that I had safe parking overnight tonight. The yard that I'm going to is just over the bridge and through the tunnel at Saltash, down at the bottom of the industrial estate. I'm here and the chap has met me and he's locked the gates behind me. I'm actually stuck in here now, which I don't mind. At least I'm safe. At least the truck's safe, the trailer's safe, what's on the trailer is safe, so I don't mind too much. At least I've got safe parking, which you don't get many nights. So this is my parking for this evening. That's what's coming off tomorrow. I'm just going to have a quick check around the trailer and then I'm going to go and have some tea. I was away this weekend at Fred Fest, which it was Fred Parker's 50th birthday party. You may have seen him on some of my videos before at shows and stuff. But I did manage to get a couple of microwave meals, and this is pulled pork and rice. So hopefully it will be nice. So this is done. It looks and smells lovely. Doesn't smell too bad, to be fair. Looks a bit dodgy. Got my water for my cup of tea warming up in the microwave. I think this needs a good stir. I think that's what the problem is. International Pete would not like this. I'll tell you what, a tyre baling place is a lovely place to have your dinner. Beautiful. No, I am very grateful for the safe parking. I'm only joking. I'm all tucked up in bed now. My alarm's set for tomorrow morning, where we did get the tyre baler off without too many complications. Hope you've enjoyed the video and thank you for watching. Don't forget you can get my merch at f28print.com.